minute, I'm going to show you how to make this little Southwestern style bracelet. Of course, it doesn't have to be Southwestern style. What makes it feel more Southwestern is the coloring, or the color scheme that I used with this. The black, the silver, and the turquoise make it look more Southwestern. The style itself too can lend to that, but if you were to change the beads, if you used a bicone crystal or a 6mm round crystal in the middle here, or a pearl that's 6mm round, or a drook, anything other than a turquoise bead, you probably get a different theme to it. Of course, you could use a different style button, and you could use different color accent beads on the seed beads. That all would make this a little bit different themed. However, the way I've made it, it is Southwestern style, so that's what I'm going to call it. I'll show you what it looks like on the wrist, and then we'll go ahead and look and see what we need for this project. See if I can put this on in decent time here. Up. There we go. And back off. Maybe not that much. And that's what the clasping looks like. And this is what the rest of the bracelet looks like. And let's go ahead and see what we need to make this project. So for this project, we are going to use 6mm round beads. Now, this is howlite. It's a turquoise colored gemstone. You don't have to use a gemstone. You can use a pearl, a crystal, a drook, anything that's 6mm round for this project. I'm using the gemstone. This is what is going to give a Southwest flair to my piece. It's the colors I have chosen. That's what gives it the flair. Now, if you want your bracelet to look something other than Southwest, you can use other colors and you can use other beads, and it will have a whole different presence. So I'm using, like I said, 6mm round gemstone, and then I'm using a 4mm round metal bead. This is silvertone, of course. These little metal beads are exactly the same size and basically the same shape as 6/0 seed beads. So use a 6/0 seed bead if you cannot find any little silver beads like this. Now, you could try a regular 4mm round, but because of the shape of the hole, I would say you'd be better off with a 6/0 seed bead. And of course, you can get a 6/0 seed bead in a metallic silver tone also. Then we will be using several different kinds of seed beads. We're going to use 15-0s, 8-0s, and 2 colors of 11-0s. These are all Toho, and these 3 are galvanized silver tone, permanent finish. They're the galvanized aluminum actually in the Toho line. And this is an opaque black 11-0 Toho. You will then need a shank button or any kind of closure you want to use. I'm going to use this little shank button. It's metal. It has a nice little pattern on the front, which is going to also help me achieve the Southwestern flair I want for this bracelet. And I think it'll go good with these beads here. So then you will need some Fireline. I am going to use 8-pound Fireline in the smoke color today, and a size 10 beading needle, English beading needle. You of course can use a size 12, and you can use 6-pound Fireline also, or nanofill. But I think that 8-pound is going to work best for this project, as the beads are a little bit bigger. These anyway are, and the gemstone's a little heavier. So let's go ahead and get started with this project. Okay, so to start this project, you will pick up a 6/0 seed bead or 4mm round, whatever you're using, but I do recommend 6/0, so I'm going to call these 6/0s. 6/0, 11/0, and I'm going to use my black color, and then a 6/0, and then another 11/0. I am going to bring these down to the end of my thread. You don't have to leave a really long tail, just enough to hold on to. And then come back through the first 6/0 and just the 6/0 that you put onto your Fireline here, and from the tail side, and pull these beads around so that they look like this. Now we're going to sew back through all of these. Hold on to them between your thumb and your finger so that they do not slide off of the tail end, and just sew back through all of them. And then once you get all the way around, I'm coming out of this 6-0 here, I'm going to sew all the way back around to this 11-0. I'm going to put my clasping on just because I'm not going to work my way back over. Now you can leave a long tail and you can put your clasping on later if you think it's going to get in your way. But at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and put my clasp end on so that I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to move this tail out of my way. I am now coming out of the 11-0 seed bead on the tail side. I am going to pick up 2 of my 11-0 seed beads. Then I'm going to pick up an 8-0 seed bead, and I'm using my silvertone now. And then I'm going to pick up my button. This shank is small enough to where the 8-0 will work as a stopper. So I'm just going to use that as my stopper. And then I'm going to pick up another 8-0 and then 2 11-0s. This should hold my button between my beads evenly, like so. Then I'm going to drop this down to the 11-0 that I'm coming out of, and then I'm going to go into the opposite side of the 11-0. And I'm going to pull this down like so. That's what that should look like. Now I just want you to sew back through all of these beads and through the button several times to secure this, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have sewn through my button and my little beads that I added to hold it on several times. I'm now coming out of this 11-0 seed bead. I attached my clasping 2. Now I'm going to go down through this 6-0 right next to that 11-0. Get myself in position for my next step. Now I'm coming out of this 6-0 seed bead right here. I'm going to begin my unit by picking up 2 black. Let's let you see the beads. So some people like to see the beads as I pick it up. So we're going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads, 1 silver 11-0, 2 more black, 1 more silver, 2 black, 1 silver, and 2 black. So what you have in your 11-0s is 4 sets of 2 divided by 1 11-0 seed bead in another color, like so. So you will have 8 black ones if you're doing the same color as I am, and 3 silver ones. And then you will pick up a 6-0 seed bead, a black 11-0 seed bead, a 6-0, a black, or whatever colors you're using. And then you're going to take all of this and you're going to drop it down to the bead you're coming out of, like so. Now we are then going to, let's get close. Let me readjust my camera, I'm sorry. Now we are going to hold on to our beads, and we're just going to come back around into the first 6-0 that we put on, just like this. Now your beads are going to slide around, so you have to kind of hold them into place, go into that first 6-0 seed bead and just the 6-0 seed bead. Pull your thread through, like so. This is going to wrap them down around like our first unit. Then you have to grab onto those beads and pull your working thread a little bit to make sure that they're touching, that all the beads are together and there's not a big gap in your thread. Then go up through the 11-0 here and turn this little unit so that it's facing the same way that this unit is. Come down into the next 6-0 seed bead, and we are ready to make the other half of our unit by make your tension pretty tight, but don't make it so tight that you can't get between these beads again. But do make sure you have good tension throughout this project or it's not going to work well. Pick up 2 11-0 in the black. I'm going to back off again so you can see my beads. I'm not going to be able to do this through the whole thing. It will be redundant, but I'm going to show you in the first unit here. 2 11-0s in black, 1 11-0 in silver, 2 11-0s in black, 1 11-0 in silver, 2 11-0s in black, 1 11-0 in silver, and 2 11-0s in black. So that you have 4 sets of 2 black, 3 silver in between each set of 2 black. And then you're coming out of this seed bead here, this 6-0 seed bead. We are going to go down into this 6-0 seed bead right underneath our clasping here. And pull. And then we're coming out of this little 6-0 here, we're going to go into the 11-0 that we attached our clasp to here. And pull. And then we are going to go up into this 6-0 seed bead. We're going to go all the way into the middle silver 11-0, one right in the middle here. And we're going to exit that bead. And pull. Make sure that you have decent tension, no gaps in your thread, no issues with the way it looks. It should all look nice and neat, but don't pull it so tight that the beads bunch. They need to lay nicely. Pick up a 6mm round bead. I'm going to pick up my turquoise. Now I am coming out of this side of this 11-0. I am going to find the opposite 11-0 in silver and go into the same side that I'm exiting from this one. So I'm going to go into this side right here. I'm going to put my thumb over it and hold it in place, and I'm going to pull this bead down into the center of the unit I'm creating, like so. Once you're here, you will then pick up 3 11-0 seed beads in your silver tone or whatever your second contrast tone is, like this. And then we're coming out of this side of this 11-0, we're going to go into the opposite side of the 11-0. Now you need to make sure that everything stays tight. So pull your working thread a little bit and pull these beads down. And then tighten everything up. Like so. Now it's going to be a little bit loose. The gemstone's going to be a little bit loose on there, but try to get it as tight as you can. As we go back through it, which we're about to do, we can tighten it back up. So I've gone through this bead, or I'm coming out of this bead here. I'm going to go back up into my gemstone. I'm going to pull these beads all down tight, like this. And then I'm going to go into the opposite side of the opposite silver one here. So you're just coming out, you are attached to this side, so you want to attach to the other side. So just pull your thread up through, like so. This secures the gemstone on. Then you will pick up 3 11-0 seed beads in your contrast color, like so. You're coming out of this side of the 11-0. You're going to go into the opposite side of the 11-0 and just the 11-0, and you're going to pull this picot we're creating down on top, like this. Whoops. I've done nothing but drop this since I designed it. So there we go. That's what that should look like. Now you're coming out of this little bead right here, this little 11-0, right above the gemstone. Position yourself so that you can hold on to it nicely, and then we are going to pick up 7 15-0 seed beads. Mine is in silver tone, so I'm going to pick up 7 of them, and I will show you what I have. 7 15-0 seed beads. Now I'm coming out of this little 11-0 here. I'm going to go into the opposite 11-0 on the same side that I'm coming out of this side. So you just want to make sure you're coming into the same side that you're exiting from here, like so. Pull these beads down around the gemstone, like so, and pull them tightly. Make sure that they're nice and neat, like this. And then pick up 7 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is what you'll have on your needle. You're coming out of this 11-0 here. We're going to go into the same side on the opposite 11-0 here. Just go through that 11-0 and pull. And that's what that should look like. Now we are going to sew into the next 11-0 here. So we're going to go through these two. We're coming out of this little 11-0 here underneath the picot we created. We're going to go into the very next 2 black 11-0s here, and then exit the silver 11-0 here. Now we're going to pick up an 8-0 seed bead. Mine is in silvertone. And then we are going to go into this little 11-0 between our 6-0s. So we're going to go here and exit and pull this 8-0 seed bead down, like so. Then we're going to pick up another 8-0 seed bead here. We're going to go into the silver seed bead. We're coming out of the black seed bead between the 6-0s. We're going to go into the silver seed bead on the other side here. And you can sew up through the 2 black seed beads on the other side of it too, and then turn it over. Pull this down. Make sure that those seed beads pop down nicely. Then you will pick up, make sure everything is secure, because if it's not, you're going to go back and you're going to see all your embellishments are loose. So I'm going to make sure everything looks good on the front here. And then I'm going to turn it back over. I'm going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead. I'm going to use my silver. And I'm going to go down into the next black. So I'm exiting this black one. I'm going to pass over my picot. I'm going to go into the next black, and I'm going to insert an 11-0 seed bead in between there while exiting this silver seed bead over here. This will stabilize your unit. Pull this little 11-0 down, turn your piece back over, and situate your beads so that they look like this. Then pick up an 8-0 seed bead onto your needle like so, and then you're coming out of this 11-0 here, the silver one. You're going to go down into the black one between the 6-0 seed beads here. Pull the bead down into place. And then pick up another 8-0 seed bead onto your needle. You're coming out of the black seed bead between the 6-0s. Go into the seed bead, the silver seed bead on your unit. Everything's getting pretty tight now, so you have to kind of finagle your needle in there. Go ahead and go through the 2 black ones on the other side of it too. It's easier if you turn it over so you can see what you're doing. Pull it through, like so. Turn it back over again and arrange your beads so that they lay nicely. So they look like this. Turn it back over again. I know all this turning over is probably confusing, but it's just the easiest way to do it. Now you're coming out of this little black seed bead here. Let me turn this. You're going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, and you're going to go over the top of the picot 11-0 here, go into the 2 black 11-0s, and then you can exit the silver one, or you can go all the way through. I'm going to go all the way through all my beads on that side. Now I have to pull all this into shape. The beads just don't go wherever, well, they go wherever. They will not look really good unless you position them and make them look good. This is what it should look like on the back. I'm going to turn it back over. I am now exiting from this 11-0 seed bead here. I'm going to come down into this 6-0 seed bead here, like so. And this is what your first unit should look like. Now we're going to come down into this little black seed bead here, and we are then going to start another unit. So we're going to pick up an 6-0 seed bead, or excuse me, that's an 8-0, a 6-0 seed bead, an 11-0 seed bead in the black, and a 6-0 seed bead, like this. We're coming out of this side of this 11-0, we're going to go into the opposite side of the 11-0 and pull. Line them up so that they look nice and neat, like this. And then we're going to sew back through this. Now, on these connecting units, you don't want your tension so tight that they will not move. If you go really, really tight on this, you're going to create kind of a bunched up area here, and your bracelet isn't going to lay nice. You do not want any slack, but you don't want it really tight either. You don't want this 11-0 to fall down into the holes of the 6-0, because then your bracelet won't move correctly. So just sew through it, keeping good tension, but not extremely tight tension. Yep, go back through that 11-0 here. I'm just reinforcing this by sewing through it again, the entire unit. Then I'm going to go up into this 6-0 seed bead and exit right here. We're going to begin the next unit. We'll do one more, and then it'll be repetitious from this point on. So we are going to pick up, I'm going to back off a little here. We're going to pick up 2 black 11-0s, 1 silver 11-0, 2 black 11-0s, a silver, 2 black, a silver, and 2 black, like this. Then I'm going to just push those down, and I'm going to pick up a 6-0 seed bead, an 11-0 seed bead in black, a 6-0 seed bead, and an 11-0 seed bead in black, like so. I'm going to bring all of these beads down to the bead I'm exiting from, like so. Now I'm going to position it to where I can hold on to my 2 6-0 seed beads. I am then going to come back up through the 6-0, the first one I put on the bottom side here. I'm going to come back up through, just like this. And I'm going to pull this into a little loop. And then I'm going to push it over this way so that it's in line with my other unit down here. Then I'm going to sew, I'm coming out of the 6-0, I'm going to sew through the 11-0 here. I'm going to come back through this 6-0 here. I'm going to pull tight, make sure everything looks good, just like this. No gaps, not so tight you bunch anything, but no gaps between the beads so that you can see the thread. And then we're going to make the next strand over to this side of our unit. So we will pick up 2 black, a silver, 2 black, a silver, 2 black, a silver, and then 2 black, 11-0 seed beads, like this. and then I'm going to push that down, pick up a 6/0, a black 11/0, a 6/0. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have to do that. Just pick up the 11/0s. Got a little carried away there. Just pick up the 11/0s in your sets. 2 black, 1 silver, 2 black, 1 silver, 2 black, 1 silver, 2 black. And then come down into the 6/0 seed bead on the opposite side from which we started from. So we came out of this side. Now we're going to go into this side and pull our unit together like this. And that's what that should look like. Now we're going to sew into, we're coming out of this big 6/0, we're going to go into the 11/0 in the middle of them like this. And then we're going to sew up this 6/0 and the little black beads behind it, the 2 11/0s here. And we're going to go all the way through until we exit the second silver seed bead, the one right in the middle. Now we're exiting this silver seed bead. We are going to pick up a 6mm round gemstone, like so. And then we're going to go to the same side on the opposite bead and enter it right here. And pull. Like so. Now, last time I had you go ahead and do the picot here. I think it's going to be easier to retain your tension and to stabilize if you just go ahead and go back up through the gemstone. And then into the 11/0 seed bead like this. You can do that on your first unit too. It seems to stabilize it a little bit better. Now I'm exiting this 11/0 seed bead here. I've got my bead in there nice and tight. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to pick up 3 11/0 seed beads. And I'm going to go back into the 11/0 on the opposite side, like so. After making your little picot here and exiting your silver seed bead, we will then begin to put on 15/0 seed beads. So pick up 7 15/0 seed beads, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, like so. We're coming out of this side of the 11/0. I'm going to the opposite 11/0 and pull. Make sure that your tension is good, that your embellishment looks good. There's no gapping. Pick up 3 11/0 seed beads in the silver tone, like so. You're coming out of this side of the silver bead on the top here, going to the opposite side that you're exiting from, and just the silver bead, and pull. And then pick up 7 15/0 seed beads. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like so. We're exiting here. We're going to go into the opposite silver bead in the opposite side we started from and pull these beads down around the gemstone, like so. Now we're going to go into the 2 11/0s right behind the bead we're exiting from, and then we're going to go into the next silver seed bead and exit, like so. This is what this should look like. Pick up an 8/0 seed bead. You're coming out of this silver seed bead. Go into the little black seed bead in between the 6/0 seed beads up here and pull. And then again, pick up another 8/0 seed bead. Go into the silver seed bead on the opposite side here. And pull. Put these into place, arrange them so that they're kind of at a little tilt around the 11/0 seed bead. Go into the next two 11/0 seed beads. I'm going to turn my work over. Go into these two 11/0 seed beads right here and exit. Pick up another 11/0 seed bead. I'm using silver. Go from this 11/0 into the next set of two black 11/0s and then exit the silver 11/0 here and pull. Turn your work back over. Make sure everything is nice and secure. Pick up an 8/0 seed bead. Go into the 11/0 in between the 6/0s here. Pull the 8/0 down, arrange it, push it into the frame of your unit here. Pick up another 8/0. You're exiting the 11/0 here. Go into the 11/0 on the other side, the silver one, and also go through the two black 11/0s behind it. Pull your 8/0 down, arrange it, push it into the frame, arrange it so that it's nice and neat. Turn your piece over, pick up an 11/0 seed bead. You're coming out of these two black 11/0s, skip over the silver one under the picot, go into the next two and the silver, and pull. This is what it should look like. You're exiting this silver seed bead here. We're going to just go up into the two black ones right next to it, go up into the 6/0 seed bead, and we will then begin our next unit. 7 units. Now, of course, if you want to make your bracelet smaller, you can go to 6 units. This will make about a 7.5-inch bracelet. You can make 8 units if you want something larger than 7.5 inches. If you want it smaller, of course, like I just said, make 6 units. When you are done with your last unit, you will be coming out of the 6/0 seed bead in the very last unit. Come up through the 11/0 seed bead. We're going to make a loop to go around our button. So every button's going to be different, so you may have to figure out, and I will show you how many beads you're going to need. I'm going to pick up an 11/0 and an 8/0, and then I'm going to drop them down here, like so. Now I'm going to pick up however many seed beads I think will go around my button. So I'm going to try about 20 seed beads, and then I will be back and I will show you exactly how to figure out if this loop will go around your button. Okay, so I've picked up my 20 seed beads. I'm going to use black just so I can distinguish against my other 2 beads that I put on that will attach to my unit. Now I'm going to come back down through this 8/0 seed bead right here, the silver one. I'm going to avoid the 11/0 silver underneath it. And I'm just going to hold this tight, and I can tell you right now this is probably too small, but I'm going to bring this over and slide my button over. Actually, it's not too small. It's going to work. So make sure it goes all the way over. And maybe I'll add a couple more seed beads just to make sure it slides over a little bit easier. So I'll just back out of my 8/0 seed bead here. And then I'll add a couple more seed beads. I think I'll go with 25 seed beads, or actually 23. I don't think I need quite 25. And then I'm going to come back through my 8/0 seed bead again. I'm going to make sure that I hold this tight so there's no slack. I'm wrapping it around my finger, and then I'm going to go back and try to slide this, and this slides over much easier. You want it to be a little bit tight, like so. So that's going to work fine. So that's how you're going to test and see how many seed beads you need. I'm going to take this off of here. Straighten my bracelet back out again. I'm going to slide these down to the 11/0 underneath the 8/0 there, and then let's get close. I am going to pick up another 11/0. I'm coming out of the 8/0 here. I'm going to pick up an 11/0. I'm going to go through the opposite side from which I'm coming out. So I'm coming out of this side of the 11/0, the black 11/0 between the 6/0s. I'm going to go into the opposite side. I'm going to turn this, make sure it's in the right order here, and that's what that should look like. And go ahead and sew back up through all these beads. So you'll come up through this 11/0, the 8/0, sew through all these beads, come back down through, come through this 11/0, come through this 11/0, and do that about 4 times, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have secured my little loop by sewing through it a few more times. Just judge how many times you think you can get through it without overloading your beads with thread. I went ahead and went through it 2 more times, so that makes 3 layers of thread through it, and I feel like that's fairly secure. I am now coming out of my 11/0 seed bead between my 2 6/0s after I secured the complete loop, coming down through the 11/0 and through this 11/0 here. Now I'm going to come into the 6/0 here on the side that I'm coming out of, and I'm going to sew down into the 2. I'm going to sew, I've sewed into the 6/0, I'm going to sew down into the 2 11/0s underneath it, and then I'm going to go into the 8/0 here and the 11/0 between the 8/0s and the 8/0 on the other side, just to make sure that this end is secure. And then I'm going to sew back up through the 2 11/0s on this side into the 6/0, okay, there's a little ledge there on my 6/0 that's stopping me. There we go. And then I'm going to tie a knot right here on this thread bridge between the 11/0 and the 6/0. Actually, I'm going to go through the 11/0 and do it on this side because that side seems kind of tight. So I'm going to grab this little thread bridge here, go underneath, grab a knot, pull it down. I'm going to do that again, go underneath the thread bridge, and grab a knot, make sure it goes down between the beads, go back through this 6/0, these 11/0s, into the 8/0s and the 11/0 between them, I'll go into this 11/0 or this 8/0 here, into these 11/0s, and then I will cut my thread off. I hope I was in frame, sorry if I wasn't. I'm just sewing around to secure everything. I'm going to cut this off, maybe a little shorter than that, and then I'm going to blob it down with my lighter, tuck it between the beads. And I did that on this side too. I cut my tail off and burned it down so that it won't slip through the beads. And turn it back over and show you what the finished piece looks like. And that's what it looks like. I'm going to arrange everything, make it pretty, and then I will put it on my wrist so you can see it. Okay, this is what it looks like on the wrist. And here's the clasping. Get a little closer, and oops, Let me straighten everything out. I mangled it trying to get it on my wrist. Made my button a little bit too tight, so I think I would go just a little bit looser than I did. But that is what it looks like. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and have fun making yourself one of these little cute bracelets. Bye-bye.